What if the key to better metabolism isn't your metabolism at all? More people than ever are struggling with weight gain, blood sugar, and inflammation, even while dieting and working out. So how do you explain that? What if the real issue goes deeper, to the gut? And what if some of the medications that people are taking are quietly making matters much worse? Today's guest is here to help us navigate these important questions and so much more right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to LifeTVnow, where we unpack all matters of truth, faith, and freedom. We have a special guest today that I think is about to blow your mind when it comes to restoring your gut health, and of course, 80% of your immune system that resides in the gut. Let me introduce who's here. She's an integrative nutritional health coach with a Master of Science in Health Education. Please welcome our Executive Director, Jamie Woodall. And she's a clinical nutritionist and integrative health practitioner with a doctorate in integrative healthcare focused on clinical nutrition. She combines science, nutrition, and lifestyle strategies to help people restore health naturally, highlighting the connection between gut health, metabolism, immunity, and overall wellness. Please welcome Dr. Rachel Shuck. I've been very much looking forward to this particular program, Dr. Rachel. In part, the people that watch this program that know the origins of my exodus from what we call the Babylonian construct, a step away from allopathic approach to healing my gut years and years ago, which ended up being the culprit behind just 27 years of autoimmunity and diverticulosis, diverticulitis, pleurisy, pleuritis, esophagitis. You notice a trend here with all the itis, and there's more. There's more prostatinia, prostate issues. The point is, itis is usually a way of just describing inflammatory conditions that don't really have a genetic explanation or have a metabolic explanation. People are just assigned, as I was, as someone who's just suffering probably what father or mother has passed down to me. We don't really know what causes these things, but we know they lead to things like medications and surgeries. And in my case, it got so diabolical. About a decade ago, they ended up cutting out half of my colon for life. I have half of a colon, though. Sharon Gilbert jokingly and affectionately labeled me Joey Semicolon after that surgery. But here's the catch. For me, things got much, much worse. Are you hearing me, people? Much, much worse after the surgery that was supposed to save my life from the diverticulosis that was to blame for all of these anomalistic deals happening with my life. They were testing me for Lyme's disease, cytomegalovirus, thyroid, all the things. And Rachel, my labs would come back normal range.
Yeah.
And I'm dying in front of these doctors. Now, I will say, I'm not disparaging allopathic doctors. These were wonderful people that really, really wanted to help me. But the approach ended up ignoring the underlying root causes of what was really going on in my body, which, of course, I've written about in my book, Time Bomb, that we'll talk to you about later so that you know how you can get your copy of that work. But I know that that is one of your biggest areas as a practitioner of passion.
Yeah.
And it is probably, I'm guessing, you and I have not talked about this specifically, but I'm guessing it's one of the things that you usually start with when you're dealing with patients with anomalistic issues that have tried everything. You have to start with gut care or figure out what is maybe upstream damaging the gut. This is personal for you, right? You didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a practitioner. I want to do good in the world. There was a long history of being a school teacher. A high school teacher?
Yes.
Somewhere along your journey, you had a moment, and maybe it was a collection of moments that brought you to now the doctor that sits here before us today as a champion of gut health. How did you get started?
Well, it's kind of funny. So the root of my journey, I don't have the hero's journey. I didn't have the personal health struggle. Bless my parents. I was literally, for real. I was born outside of what I would call the medical matrix in the most literal of senses, and that my mom left the hospital and said, I'm just going to have her at home.
Okay.
And then we never did any allopathic medicine moving forward. So I was very lucky in that I grew up in a family that understood natural medicine, food is medicine, diet is just so critically important.
Wow.
When I got into teaching, and there's a lot of other pieces to this as well, but when I got into teaching and I was coaching athletes, whether they were adult athletes or my high school athletes, one of the things I saw that made their performance suffer so badly was their poor nutrition. And then, you look at your students and you see that they've got the facial, like the acne that you're like, we need to address the gut. You can't say that. You're not going to say that to your, unsolicited advice. Nobody wants that. But you see it and there's a way to fix it. And when I started working with adult endurance athletes, one of the things I saw is these people are exercising every day. Caveat, I do not ever say, hey, marathon running is the way to get healthy. It's not. But just so people know, that's who I was working with. These people are out running miles and miles every day, and they're still having problems, right? And then you go, okay, this isn't like just an athlete problem. This is an everybody problem.
That's right.
And so whether your main root cause is a gut or not, you cannot have the body repair if that piece isn't functioning the way it needs to.
True.
And that's essentially how I got there. And through my own little journey of, my parents did let me kind of fail forward. I got a job at a fast food restaurant. Did they support that? No. Did my mom sit there and say, hey, look at all the acne on your face? I'm like, I see it. Thanks, Mom. I got away from what I knew. And the running brought me back to knowing I needed to do the nutrition. And I was a super slow runner when I first kind of got into this as an adult. And then when I was like, okay, go back to go back to the fundamentals. I went from being a back of the pack runner to I qualified for the Boston Marathon twice. I ran the Boston Marathon.
Amazing.
It's a testament to nutrition is so important. And just fueling the body the way God designed it to be fueled.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of very frustrated people out there that want to know, Rachel, what did you discover? What did you unlock? They're out there doing, GLP-1 medications for weight loss because they've done the diet exercise thing. They've yo-yo dieted. As Jamie Woodall will assert, was a part of her, weight loss journey. And of course, a lot of that is conventional echo chamber approach to weight loss, getting fit. And you realize that a lot of those people are malnourished.
Yeah.
Because their body is starving. They're storing well, I don't want to get ahead of you. When people think about metabolism, Dr. Rachel Shuck, what are people getting wrong and how is the gut connected to that?
Yes, it's so interesting to me that people put metabolism over here and the gut over here. And the thing is the way we fuel our metabolism. What is metabolism? It's the breakdown and the buildup of our cells, right?
Yeah.
How do we feed our cells? Well, through our food. How does our food get to our cells? It goes through our digestive tract, gets to our blood, and then it's delivered into our cells. If we don't have good absorption, our cells don't have good tools. So you are not what you eat. You are what you absorb.
Ooh, that's good.
There you go.
Yeah, I love that.
It's not my original quote, but it's so true.
Why are so many people struggling with things like blood sugar, weight, and inflammation? Because you're going to have people watching this show that are going to be like, man, they are describing me right now. I have burned my adrenals out trying to run on hamster wheels to lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's stubborn and it's difficult. And I know that a lot of liver functionality and enzyme production and all of the things also peripherally support digestion and gut health. But if a person's watching this program and they ask you, well, Dr. Rachel, I'm dealing with insulin resistance and gut, as opposed to just describing the gut in generic terms.
Yeah.
Like, where would I start? What's really behind all of that?
Oh, God, well, that's a loaded question.
I know. and the good news is you've got like 19 minutes to sort all that out.
There's a reason I put this in an entire book.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let me kind of back up and just give people some basics that maybe they can see. And these are things you guys are familiar with, but, we forget other people. They've never heard this before.
Sure.
One of the gut dysfunction things we see with systemic inflammation is I get people who come into my office who have taken ibuprofen or naproxen or acetaminophen because they're told they're anti-inflammatory, right? The problem is they are a short-term anti-inflammatory. Long-term, they are damaging the gut. They are causing gut permeability, what we know as leaky gut.
Yep.
What happens when you have a leaky gut? Things get into the bloodstream that don't belong there. When you have things in the bloodstream that don't belong there, now you have systemic inflammation.
That's right.
Anti-inflammatories are inflammatory. Bottom line, period.
They don't tell you that, though.
No, they don't. But it is on the insert. If you pull out the insert, it will tell you all the details.
So, people that may not be familiar with leaky gut that didn't see my testimony a decade ago or read my book Time Bomb or have done any searching about this, and they're like, man, they're telling me I've got arthritis. They're telling me I've got this autoimmune condition or that autoimmune condition. And I was telling people like 10 years ago, a lot of this is your gut, folks. And a lot of people that have now since then subscribed to things like curcumin or lifestyle diet choices have said, man, that whole book, that whole project saved my life. It has completely changed everything, as it has my own life. But one of the things that I know women are really, really getting desperate about, there are different types of fat in the body. So you go to your doctor and they say, well, you need to lose weight. And that's really what will get you back. I mean, you got to lose the weight in order to be healthy. And it's exactly the opposite. People like you and I wouldn't often start somebody on a hamster wheel, right?
Weight loss is a side effect of getting healthy. First of all, I want to say carbohydrates in and of themselves are not bad. Ultra-processed refined foods that we're eating, and we eat too many, the body converts carbohydrates into glucose. When we have excess glucose, that glucose, to keep us safe, has to be converted into triglycerides. Triglycerides get stored as fat. So now we're into what I call the parking, okay? Subcutaneous fat, that's what I consider safe parking. Your body converts the triglycerides and it stores it in places in the body that are safe. So that may be on your hips, under your chin, on your arms. Do we love it? Is it aesthetically appealing? Not really, but it's safe, it's ordered, it's structured, right? So that's what I call safe parking. When we've filled up our kind of overflow safe parking lot, this is where we get into visceral fat. And so this is what I call illegal parking. When you are parking fat in the illegal parking zone, so you're blocking the loading dock and you're in places you shouldn't be, in our body, that looks like around our organs. So whether that's around the liver, around the pancreas, around the intestine. Visceral fat is not benign. It doesn't just sit there. It sends out signals, and those are inflammatory signals. So that is, we go from our safe, orderly, structured overflow parking to our illegal parking. And then when we talk, so that's the visceral fat. And then when we talk about ectopic fat, to me, in my head, what that kind of parking is, you've got your car, two wheels are on the back of the cliff and the other two wheels are hanging off. And that's the fat that's inside of the organs, inside of the liver, inside of the heart. So, we want to keep those fats down. And I will say what I do in my talks, one of the biggest things, I'm like, listen, if you get no other takeaway, know that midsection belly fat, if you're walking around with the gut right here, we've got illegal parking going on. There is a metabolic issue.
How does a person watching this show start dealing with some of the illegal parking?
Diet,
and
food
again,
is medicine.
You've got 15 whole minutes.
Okay, all right. Everybody's going to be different. It's very individual. But the first thing that we can do fundamentally, no matter where you're at, is, it's kind of ironic, but it's that shopping the 20% of the grocery store, shop the perimeter, eat real whole foods, cut out the processed carbohydrates. And when I say that, it's so wild to me that I have to say, hey, listen, 80% of what's in a grocery store, don't eat it.
No, exactly.
That's where we're at. So again, if somebody really wants to start kind of changing the parking of their fat, they're going to have to start tapping into those stores, which is hugely dietary changes. The other thing is we have to kind of quit hurting ourselves. We've got to let the gut do its job naturally.
Will you unpack that when you say we need to stop hurting ourselves? How are we hurting ourselves?
Yeah, so I see a lot of clients who, I just mentioned the ibuprofen type things, but people come in, they're on proton pump inhibitors, they're on SSRIs. All of these things disrupt the gut on some level. And if we're trying to change our diet, which is the key, that's definitely step one, you're still kind of creating a level of damage where you can't, it's really hard to get ahead.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and like PPIs, those are being used to manage GERD, acid reflux, which is what, Dr. Rachel Shuck, a side effect of
not having enough stomach acid. It's nuts. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's so wild that you're given a medication to suppress the reverse of the problem.
Yeah.
And I have so many people come into my clinic. When you look at a package insert on a proton pump inhibitor, it says anywhere from like 6 to 14 weeks. I might be getting the time frame wrong of how long you're supposed to use it.
2-3 months.
Yeah,
It's
I have
not
women
long.
come in that have been on it for 25 years.
Oh my
And then you
goodness.
wonder, well, this is how you create a problem like osteoporosis. When you can't break down your minerals correctly in your digestive tract, how are those minerals going to get to your bones?
Yeah.
Right?
Food enzymes, things like hydrochloric acid, those are going to fly in the face of everything that a lot of people have been told, but you're actually wanting to increase the right types of acids so that your food can be broken down in digestion so that your body stops producing this over amount of like what I call low-hanging fruit acid. It's the quickly produced acid that doesn't have enough oomph to get the job done, and then you're not receiving your minerals. You're not digesting completely. And of course, your body just continues the cycle while you fight against it because you don't like the side effect of GERD or acid reflux.
Yes. And then I want people to know too, because I work with a lot of people getting off of those, it is a process. So a lot of people think I'm just going to quit, which is fine and you can do it, but know that the symptoms, there's a whole rebound effect that happens from that. So a lot of people think they're going to quit and they're like, well, I can't, because they have to experience that, 2 to however many weeks of rebound and get through it.
Right.
When you're working with someone, then we can help you with tools. Maybe that's slippery elm, maybe that's interleaf aloe vera juice, depending on the person and what they need.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
It's a great go-to. In fact, I like it in a lot of ways more than a lot of the fibers that people are trying to use to move bulk through people that are struggling with things like constipation. And of course, I'm sure you know this, but that is in a lot of cases a side effect of liver dysfunction as well. Body's not producing enough bile to get the job done. So, friends, are you seeing the picture? We are ruining our guts. It can't do what it needs to do. It's fighting to do what it needs to do, and then we're sabotaging it because of the discomfort that we're experiencing because it doesn't work by ruining it even more.
I want to elaborate on that, Joe, because you said something about liver and bile function. And I think people need to know this because I have a lot of people come into my office. It's really common for someone to not have a gallbladder. And I always ask them when they say, I don't have a gallbladder, okay, before you went through all the steps to have the surgery to remove it, did anybody sit down and talk to you and say, listen, this isn't a gallbladder issue. This is a liver issue making sick and sludgy bile.
That's right.
I'm batting 1,000. All my people say, what? No, I've never heard that.
No, we have people in this audience today that before they were aware of options, were pursuing that allopathic path who no longer have their gallbladders.
Yeah.
And now they're dealing with downstream side effects of not being able to produce enough bile and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I want to bring some coherence to this, though, because we're talking a lot about the problems and we're touching a little bit on what people can do. But if you knew that you were never going to get an opportunity to meet somebody watching this program, and I'm not going to say give them 3 things, because I don't want to put you on the spot, make you come up with 3 things that are arbitrary, but where would you have them start if you knew I'm going to get one chance to just get them started? Would it be that you recommend that they find like a holistic or a naturopathic doctor or somebody like you? Do you do remote telehealth of some kind or remote doctor-patient coaching or anything to that effect?
Well, I do recommend if it is in, and I'm always conscious of people's budgets too, that yes, if you can reach out to a practitioner with proven results that people know and trust and have, seen how that works, then absolutely, that's probably the easiest place to start. There's also, really great books. If someone is confused about where to start, maybe if it's like a PPI problem, I can recommend a couple books. I also tell my people, look, if you're really wanting to get off medication, you need to become the expert. And then you go to your doctor and you say, this is how I want to do this. There are really great tools out there for people on benzodiazepines because you cannot just quit those. That could literally be lethal. There's something called the Ashton Manual. Get it, know it, read it, take it to your doc, help them deprescribe. If it's something like SSRIs, get the Maudsley Manual. Get it, know it, read it. You have to be the best advocate for your health. Now, if you want a really basic starting point, this is what I tell my people. Start tracking your food. Be honest about it. A lot of people come into my office and I say, okay, tell me what you ate in the last 48 hours.
They don't want to tell you.
Oh, no, this is what I get. I always get well, this isn't how I normally eat.
Oh. Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, let's see about that. So we do that, the 48-hour food recall, and then they start tracking and they come back and they go, oh, well, maybe it's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah, no, it's true. The American diet is so bad, the standard American diet, it is so bad that when people think they've avoided the drive-through that week, that they're really now working on their health. And it's like, I don't want to depress you, but it is so much more than driving past a fast food chain or skipping a cinnamon roll. It is being proactive with what you're putting in your body to start the nourishing process. Well, very quickly, before we continue this interview, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about my book, Time Bomb and Companion DVD, that covers everything from how modern industrialized food, environmental factors, and today's dietary patterns is affecting the health of upwards of 80% of Americans. It also goes a step further into how these same factors may be disrupting disrupting gut health, digestion, and the body's natural balance, and why restoring gut function and improving what we're putting into our bodies can be a foundational part of rebuilding overall wellness. It's a detailed educational book along with companion DVD filled with interviews, research, and real-world insights designed to help people better understand what's in their food, shop smarter at the grocery store, and choose cleaner, more affordable options for everyday living. And right now, we have a special going on, so don't wait. Get your copy of my book, Time Bomb, and companion DVD, and start repairing your gut right now. Visit edensessentials.com while we've got this special going on. And I just want to say, even though this may seem like a shameless, book plug, I honestly poured my heart into that work, and it was a side effect of me crawling out of the stuff that we're talking about many, many years ago. And I wish, this is honest, my people that know me know that I'm telling you the truth about this. The reason that I wrote the book is because I wish that I had had it. My wife wishes that she had had it way back then, because it really does. It walks you through a lot of the questions that we may not get a chance to cover today. And how do I even know when I walk into a grocery store where to begin? It is the most simple, user-friendly, step-by-step guide that I, with a person with severe OCD and ADHD, would have really been able to follow many, many years ago when I was absolutely lost. And by the way, my first experience with a naturopathic doctor was very bad.
Oh, whoa.
I'm not going to mention her name. She doesn't practice in Missouri anymore, but I'm offering you this in case you don't have a great experience your first time. Don't give up. I eventually found Dr. Josh Vance in Republic, who is a chiropractor, and ended up knowing more than all these people.
They learn a lot about nutrition in school.
He's a master of herbs, and he understands, and now he's much smarter than he was even a decade ago.
Sure.
But here's the thing. I went in saying, Josh, I've tried everything. And he just, this Cheshire grin, he's letting me vent. He's waiting for me to finish. And then he says, Joe, you don't have to live like this. And everything that was going on in my body, from the acid reflux to the prostate stuff, to all the things, the pleurisy, the epididymitis, the constant brain fog, all that stuff ended up being, for a guy like Josh Vance, who understands God's medicine, was I don't want to say trivial. It's been challenging, and today is a practice of continued nutrition. This is a lifestyle change, right, Dr. Rachel Shuck? This is not a one-off. We don't just get well for a month and then go back to what we were doing. It's a permanent evacuation of all of the things that life was, the way you were eating, the way you were sleeping, the way you were dealing with life, and it is to take on God's medicine, His lifestyle. With just a couple of minutes left on the clock, I want to bring up a scripture verse before we adjourn today, and then I want to get your reaction. 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20 is very telling. The Word of God always is. It says, What know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. For someone trying to take care of their body, how can they take bits of scripture with some of the things that we've talked about today and understand that we are the temple of the Holy Spirit? He created us to heal and to thrive.
100.
And yet we're living on a fallen planet and embracing a lot of bad things.
So it's so important to remember we are stewarding these bodies, and that our health doesn't happen to us. If we look at it as happening to us, this is how we end up with prescriptions and scalpels, right?
Wow.
Drugs and surgery. Our health happens through us, through our daily consistent choices that we make every day. No one can eat for you. No one can go outside in the sunshine for you. No one can exercise for you. No one can make you go to bed at the appropriate time but you. And therefore, the responsibility falls on us through our daily, small, actionable steps that we do consistently.
Yeah, I think they have a term for that. There is external locus of control, and that is the mindset that things are happening to us, or there's an internal locus of control, meaning I understand that what I'm putting out there, the choices that I am making, are having consequences which impact me.
Well, and the other thing, and we haven't really addressed this, and we've only got a couple of minutes on the clock, but I want to at least get it started. We can maybe unpack this some more next week if the Lord leads us to do that. But I have people right now that I care deeply about who are struggling with mental health. And that's also something that seems to be disassociated in the world of medicine and the treatment for things like depression, anxiety, and the gut is also never discussed.
Yeah.
And these are also people at the end of their rope, some of them desperately suicidal. They're struggling with matters of faith. They don't know why God won't heal them. They're taking medications. Gut health absolutely impacts all of these downstream things, our psychology, our sleep, our cortisol. I'm living proof that you can be doing all of the right things on paper and still deal with, cortisol issues because I lost my father and I'm running 2 ministries and 2 companies, and it's like I'm living out of balance now.
Life still happened.
Life is
Right.
still happening,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, we're living on a fallen planet. But at least acknowledging that gut health is massive in terms of mental health. Do you see this a lot in your practice?
Yes. And so I will say a lot of people who are weaning off, antidepressants, one of the biggest things I try to share with them is we know we make a ton of serotonin in our gut. That's a feel-good contentment hormone. We have up to 500 million neurons in our gut, right? Everyone thinks brain, neurons. I'm like, they also exist in our gut.
Well, they're connected, yeah.
They are
Yeah.
very connected. And we also know that the bacteria in our gut influence, neurotransmitters like GABA, which is, responsible for calming down overstimulation, improving concentration. We also know gut microbiomes play a role in acetylcholine production, which that's memory and learning. You cannot separate the brain from the gut. We got that big old vagus nerve running right from the brain
Yeah.
to the gut.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that the gut is like a second brain, and it's like the new frontier, right? We're uncovering things in research all the time and learning
That's
more
right.
and more
That's
about
right.
what this microbe does to benefit the body and how this one might hurt the body and even influence appetite, things like that. I love that kind of science. It really drives my passion.
Yeah, it really drives it home, and everything was so intelligently designed.
Yeah.
And if we can support that original design, the body, it's miraculous at healing itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if this has been your experience, but a lot of the practitioner friends that I have, naturopathic doctors, holistic doctors, chiropractors, they almost won't address the prevailing symptom that is decried by the patient walking in day one. They will start with things like gut care because they are usually correct in that if you can get that over a period of time, friends, this could take a few months to really, really work on and to start seeing. You've spent years making yourself this sick, right? Within a few weeks, maybe some improvement, but be thinking in terms of seasons of the year, not hours of the day. That helps a lot. But a lot of these other side effects just kind of start to dissolve, don't they? Dr.
Yes, and you
Shuck?
know what I want to say about that? Because this is what happens. It's so important to document everything, track everything in your healing journey. Because a lot of people come in, with the symptoms, you work on the gut, you work on whatever other pieces need to be addressed. You're talking to them 6 months later and they're like, well, I don't know if anything's changed. Do you still have migraines? Oh, no, I forgot I
They
ever had
forgot
those.
yeah, exactly.
It's not like a pharmaceutical pill where the symptoms go away like that. It's
Yeah.
a slow,
Yeah.
gradual over time. And they're just like, oh, yeah, that was a
I
problem.
guess that's true, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good there.
How's your stamina? I guess I am leaving the house more often.
Yeah.
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 But it's very slow.
Yeah.
So anyway, friends, we were never going to get it all done in 1 week. How many of you think we have to have Dr. Rachel Shuck back next week? Unfortunately, we're all out of time. I hope that you learned something today. Don't miss next week. We're going to continue this conversation for everybody here in studio. Dr. Rachel Shuck, Jamie Woodle, thank you so much for being right here at Life TV Now. Keep your eyes on the prize, which is Jesus Christ. We'll be back.